Good evening and welcome to Point Blank here at KTN News, shooting from the Nairobi Serena. My guest today, the bullfighter, Dr. Boni Khalwale. Before I speak to him, let us see what he has done before.
For the first time since confirming his official defection to the ruling party, Jubilee, on May 19, 2019, former Kakamega Senator Dr. Boni Khalwale speaks exclusively to TG on KTN Point Blank. During his long career in the National Assembly, first as a Kolomani Member of Parliament from 2002 to 2013, and then Senator of Kakamega from 2013 to 2017, the bullfighter was known as a fierce defender of the Kenyan people's rights, liberties and coffers. Often and without apologies, Khalwale would criticize the Jubilee leadership and in particular, Deputy President William RUTO.
If Edward Ouko is given a chance, atauliza Deputy President kwamba pesa yenye wewe unalipwa mshahara haina uwezo ya kuwezesha wewe Deputy President kujenga nyumba ya kifahari ya 1.2 billion. Uwezi. Mheshimiwa Deputy President, mshahara wenye wewe unalipwa haiwezi kupatia nguvu ya kununua Dolphin Beach Hotel Mombasa yenye umenunua. Haiwezi we Deputy President, hiyo pesa, and I'm talking to your own people. These are your own brothers and sisters. Hiyo pesa haiwezi kutosha mshahara yako ukanunua helicopters ine.
Khalwale was born on 5th August 1960 and graduated from the University of Nairobi with a degree in medicine in 1981. He won the Kolomani seat in 2002 under the National Rainbow Coalition (NAC) and retained it under Newford, Kenya in 2007. He contested and won the newly created Kakamega senatorial seat under the United Democratic Front (UDF) party led by former Vice President Musalia Mudavadi in 2012. Khalwale is the longest-serving chairman of the Public Accounts Committee at the National Assembly and the Senate for a period of 8 years. This seat is usually the preserve of the leader of the official opposition.
We have 224 able men and women in this country who can serve in the position of Minister for Finance.
The defender of African culture is a recipient of a first-class Chief of the Order of the Burning Spear from President Uhuru Kenyatta in 2015, has been acknowledged by the Law Society of Kenya as the best-performing Member of Parliament in 2010 and in 2011, was recognized by the Federation of Women Lawyers in Kenya, FIDA, as the defender of gender issues amongst numerous awards and recognitions. In 2017, the fierce critic of the Jubilee administration lost the gubernatorial election to incumbent Wycliffe Oparanya of the Orange Democratic Movement Party. It is, however, over the last 13 months that has proved to be a defining moment in the bullfighter's political career. In a stunning move reminiscent of the then Starehe Member of Parliament Steve Magic Mwangi's defection from Kenneth Matiba's Ford Asili party to then President Daniel Arap Moi's ruling Kenya African National Union party, Khalwale has jumped ship from Ford Kenya and teamed up with the Jubilee Tanga faction of his nemesis William Samoei Ruto. He now is the Deputy President's fiercest advocate.
This is Point Blank here at KTN News. My guest today, Dr. Boni Khalwale. Karibu sana to KTN.
Thank you.
Karibu sana.
Yes.
Now, before we start our discussion today, I'm happy you have come. You know, yes. I've got so many tweets and people say, "Hii program yako Point Blank ni ya kupiga Deputy President." So I'm very happy to have a person who supports the Deputy President here at Point Blank.
Thank you, and I'm glad to be here. Only that you forgot to mention when you were inviting me that I was coming as somebody from the Deputy President's side.
But I saw him receive you very well in your home. You know, I've been to your home in Kolomani.
Yes,
so
yes,
he has come after me.
Yes.
So I know your homestead, and I know you're generous with good food.
Just to remind you, you didn't come alone. I remember that was in 2011.
Yeah, we came with
Uhuru.
Uhuru.
You came with RUTO, and you came with Uhuru.
Yes.
And I remember my wife's cooked very well for you guys.
Yes, we were saving you from the jaws of ODM there.
That's right. How things change.
How things change.
Yes,
well, Bullfighter, I wanted to speak to you first about this issue affecting the children of Kenya, the issue of education and the curriculum. There seems to be a very spirited debate, and I know you're a doctor by training, about this competent-based academic system. Do you have a viewpoint on the tug of war between the ministry and the teachers' union?
Naturally, I do, and I've been following it very closely. I think the disconnect seems to be lack of sufficient consultations between the drivers of the process and the other stakeholders. When you listen to the boss of the teachers, he seems to be pleading that their contribution should be made. And as a parent, when I hear a teacher, my children are not taught by the minister, they are taught by the teachers. So I'm more bound to go by the teacher's position. When I hear the teacher tell me that we need to be given more time for us to be trained, then my fear is not so much my children who might be in a school that enjoys better facilities than other children, but I go back to Kakamega and I say, how about those children in Nabaholo, in a corner where probably a school of 600 children, they've got a maximum of 7 teachers.
You know, Mheshimiwa, one of the things that caught my eye, when you want to even move teachers from their areas of birth,
yes,
you have a problem because you have some parents who can't speak English. You know, in some parts of rural Kenya, the only way to communicate is your vernacular language. And so beyond even the argument, there is also the community effect.
Exactly, and that is why I'm saying Sosion is right when he speaks to the need for further consultations, wider and deeper consultations between stakeholders. With due respect to some areas in this country, I have worked in many places, including Turkana. There are villages in Turkana where they do not speak English, they do not speak Swahili. So, because of that reality, we really have to bring a lot of players on board so that it is good for all, not for some.
So, Mheshimiwa, let's go to the heart of the matter.
Yeah.
The bullfighter only enters a stadium when there is another bull.
Yes.
So here we are. You have made some major political moves. Starting from last year, you became associated with the presidential bid of William RUTO of 2022.
Yes.
And you have escalated it recently by leaving Fort Kenya, where you're the deputy party leader. Have you fallen out with Moses Wetangula in Fort Kenya? Is it permanent?
Not in a bad way. It's just that now we are holding different opinion insofar as political orientation is supposed to be concerned, to the extent that if it comes to the personal interest, my former party leader wants to be president, and I want to be governor of Kakamega. So there is no...
Bullfighter, before I come to your ambition,
yes,
your words were very simple. Tulikuwa tunakuja huku, tunaongea Euroban bond.
Yes.
We come here, we talk corruption. Now we are talking the mainstay of our people.
Exactly.
How can it be nice when you're accusing Wetangula and his group of blindsiding the LUHYA people?
Yes,
that's not a friendly.
They did, and I did. And I want to thank my people. They have given me an opportunity over the last 13 months or so, when I've been working with the deputy president, to explain myself out. At the beginning, because of the need of chain of command, we had our leadership, which emanated from captain himself, and then to the core principals before you reached our tier. There was need for us to respect what was expected of our team. Otherwise, we spend a whole 4 years not selling ideology, but selling propaganda.
So, Boni Khalwale, point blank,
yes,
do you now say publicly,
yes,
and millions of Kenyans listen to you,
yes,
they know you're vocal,
yes, yes,
that NASA was a mistake and you do not agree with NASA? Is that your position?
NASA was not only a mistake, it was a big mistake, which has ended up disastrously. And I hope that not in the near future will I be part of a process that is deliberately meant to serve individual interests,
so to clear,
when it is being driven as a people-oriented
So to clear things up so we move on,
Yeah.
Moses Wetangula,
Yeah.
who is an affiliate of NASA
Yeah.
and Ford Kenya,
Yeah.
and NASA at large are now your political competitors as Boni Khalwale. You have taken a leap into Jubilee. Is that the position?
Yes, I think you're giving them too much credit for nothing. They still have to reorganize themselves to be something worth competing, because for all intents and purposes, NASA is gone. It disappeared on the night of 29th of January, 30th of January. That is when it disappeared.
During the swearing in?
Exactly. That is when we disagreed. That is when we agreed to disagree agreeably.
So you are saying to Kenyans you did not agree with the mock swearing in or the swearing in?
Completely. And we all put it on the table that this was
No, as Boni Khalwale, you are against Uhuru Park.
I was against the swearing in.
Specifically,
and we said
why?
as much.
And why?
Because it was, one, meaningless. Two, it was not going to deliver anything. There were no returns on that swearing. And more importantly, it was illegal.
So Boni, now you are in Jubilee. You have, well, for lack of a better word, defected to Jubilee. Is this a proper political move? Because Jubilee itself is in turmoil. Jubilee is having sections of it disagreeing with the bid of the deputy president to run with the party in 2022. The Central Province MPs call it Kileweka and Tanga. When you joined Jubilee, being an astute political player, are you not concerned that the party for which you have joined doesn't have a clear path for the deputy president?
That does not worry me, because I know from the history of this country, every major general election has been approached with different political formations. So the configuration of Jubilee and the configuration of Ford Kenya, ANC, Wiper, and ODM in 2022 will not necessarily be what it is today. So having made this decision early, it has given me an opportunity to, A, bond with the deputy president and his team.
This is a very important pronouncement from you.
Yes.
David Murathe was here from Jubilee, the other side of Jubilee. He said there will be new political formations. And he alluded to those formations, including Raila Odinga, and including, in his words, Uhuru Kenyatta, against a formation that would come from William Ruto. So Boni Khalwale is confirming, and I'm asking you point blank, will there be a formation around the deputy president? And is that formation now being worked on?
And that's why I say that the culture of this country is that formations change at every major election. And I was going to conclude before you interjected by saying it is for that reason that I know that chances are pretty high that such a configuration could change, and it will be my pleasure that as we go towards that new scheme of things, I am one of the people influencing things the way they should happen. Not to find myself at my age, level of education, and political experience, where I found myself in NASA, where I was just doing bidding. I can't. And that is why I'm more useful to the country than just bidding.
You're not bullfighter. Why I'm asking you this question, point blank? People know you're not a passenger. Because this decision you made with the deputy president, you've made it because you want to be among the drivers within that vehicle which is going to be created. And I'm asking you point blank, this is point blank, that will you play a part, you, Boni Khalwale, not them, in making sure that there is a vehicle handling this formation which will gather or surround the deputy president? That's what I'm asking.
Yes, and
regardless of what happens in Jubilee.
I want to answer it by referring to the speech I made in my home in Malinya, which was, in short, just saying, I have made up my mind to be with you. I'll be where you are, and I'll walk with you to where you are going. And because from earlier engagements, we have agreed to share a common vision, which needs to be shaped as time goes on. I'll gladly be doing that with him.
So that we can sweep this under the carpet,
yes.
I need to ask you this. You've had an acrimonious relationship with the Deputy President, and I hope you'll be comfortable with me asking you this question, that there's a lot of footage in media and in social media of you and the Deputy President disagreeing, or even of you accusing him of various things. Before you reach this position you've now reached, had you a political summit, discussion? How was the Khalwale-RUTO marriage born? Was it Kamwiste or Muli Russia, Mulienda Gurari, was it just impromptu or was there a process?
No, it should not be lost to the public that even before making a decision to work with the Deputy President, I had already worked with him. Subsequent to the differences we had, up to including when I moved a motion of censure, we had already made peace. That is when Deputy President and President Uhuru, then Deputy Prime Minister, Minister of Finance, supported me.
After you said Kibunya must go, you went for RUTO must go.
Exactly, you recall. So
You're very eloquent.
Yeah. So we made peace then for that particular issue, and we worked together very well in my by-election in Kolomani, and all that was now bygones. What was an issue is now the things we were saying about each other when we were looking for votes for 2017.
No, to your credit, I was at the by-election.
Yes.
In Kolomani, I attended.
Yeah.
And I came with the president, and RUTO did support you.
He
So that is when
he did.
You began speaking politically. That's when you effectively left ODM. Before you came back again.
Yes.
I see.
Yeah, so it has been cordial to that extent, but because of the tactics of looking for votes, certain pronouncements were being made in 2017.
Yes.
Which had nothing to do with those motions of censure.
Mheshimiwa, your critics are all over social media.
Yes.
And again, I hope you don't take this the wrong way, to say that you went because his pockets are deep.
Yes.
The Deputy President is known to be a generous man.
Yes.
There are people saying that Boni Khalwale has sold his soul.
Yes, and I wouldn't be surprised. The people saying that are simply confirming the fact that they're missing me, because they come from two camps, really, so to speak. They don't come from Kalonzo Musyoka's side or Wetangula's side. They come from MUDAVADI's and Raila's side, and I put it to them. They should ask their bosses how much they gave me when I supported them. MUDAVADI in 2013 and Raila in 2017. I'm not for sale, and their bosses know as much.
So looking that you've made a decision and you are aware of your critics, this is going to be the politics at Western Kenya, certainly at the local level.
Yes.
They'll be saying, here you've got Boni, and you've got Washiali, and Lusaka in Camp RUTO, for example. I think there's also Waluke and others. First of all, before I come into the national, at the local level, how solid is the Western Brigade that you have joined in Team RUTO?
We are good to go, but we are hoping to grow, and we are starting to grow. I'm seeing it happen from the time I made the pronouncement in Malinga. What should not be lost to Kenyans is the fact that a young man like Washiali might sound young, but he commands a sizable constituency in Western, especially 3 constituencies that listen to him. I command a sizable constituency beyond Kakamega County. It's not in doubt.
So why don't you answer Musalia Mudavadi point blank? You know, this week he has said, ignored Khalwale, he's just a man who's there for money. This is Musalia Mudavadi speaking about you in public, and he's seen to be the de facto head of Western Kenya. He's dismissing you. Ab initio.
Yes, if I was material worth dismissing, he would not have taken the trouble to speak to it. I want to remind my brother not to become desperate. He should take it easy and relax and know that he comes from a community of 7 million people. In a community of 7 million people, you cannot be possibly the only option. There are other options around, maybe up to and including myself and Washiali and Lusaka. We know, those of us who come from his backyard, that he came from the Nyayo laboratories that created political test tube babies. He's one such a baby. He's not a self-made leader born naturally like some of us. And for that reason, we will be looking forward to how much that particular CV that he has can bring in terms of delivering success vis-a-vis what we are able to do ourselves.
So Musalia Mudavadi and Moses Wetangula say,
yes,
it is a time for LUHYA to be president.
Yes.
This country since independence has had 3 Kikuyu presidents,
yes,
and a Kalenjin president.
Yes.
Are you telling the people of Kakamega,
yes,
the people of Western Kenya, the Murembe nation,
yes,
that it is not time, they are not ready to give a son or daughter to go to the highest position? And you, Dr. Boni Khalwale, their bullfighter, will support Rift Valley, not Western Kenya.
I want to agree with the two of them that it is time to have a LUHYA president. But then, we shouldn't stop there. We should speak to the how. Now, when you speak to the how, Tony,
yes,
it means
specifically
you are alive to the fact that becoming president is not an event. It is a process. And the process includes what I had recommended to them, which they either refused or they are unwilling to accept, which was,
yes,
if you give me time,
yes,
that there was need for us to do a bit of hygiene. We collapsed the 2 active parties, Fort Kenya and ANC, hopefully form 1 unit, and then have 1 presidential candidate. That way, then, you would be taken as people who have got a community agenda. But because they have refused to have a community agenda, they should stop using the community to advance the agenda of their political parties. And for this reason, I have moved on and demonstrated to my people that we are where Kenyans want us to be. Namely, when you saw Kalenjins vote for Uhuru, in spite of the difficulties that preceded that decision, they were saying, we don't want to hear about tribalism. When you saw LUHYAs repeatedly vote for Raila, when our community had profiled him along our ethnic differences, the voters were telling us, take us to life beyond tribalism. I was listening to this program when my good friend and former colleague, Isaac RUTO, was here, on how he was painfully trying to explain how the Kikuyus would not vote for RUTO. And I realized that this is a man who is living in the past. If it was the tribal factor that he wanted to speak to, he should have spoken on how the Kalenjins will not vote for RUTO. But to attempt to be an expert on how another community will not vote for RUTO, he was just being a tribalist.
It's good that you've raised Isaac RUTO.
Yes.
Because, so you clear it. He said that
yes,
Khalwale has changed tune. He's not talking the way he used to talk. Perhaps you can speak to what Isaac RUTO was saying. Is it that you've changed, or is it because you've realized a change of strategy is necessary to attain political power?
I don't know exactly what he meant by changing tune. If in 2002, 2007, my speech was towards promoting Mwai Kibaki, which I did successfully, and then in 2013, I was talking about MUDAVADI, that did not mean that I have changed tune. The circumstances have changed. You know what they say? You must respect change. If you don't respect change, change normally changes you.
So, Mheshimiwa, you said in Kolomani
yes,
that you're convinced the deputy president will be the next president.
Yes, I am.
And you're convinced that the LUHYA nation must adapt to that reality.
Yes.
How would you propose they benefit and adapt? What role will you be playing? Will the other leaders within your region be playing with Team RUTO? In specific terms, the guys watching you today, men and women, of Kakamega, of Western, they say, okay, what is the game plan forward as you support the RUTO presidency? Okay,
we are not going to put all our cards on the table now, but I can assure you that we have done thinking both current and forward-looking, and we are quite hopeful that what we are rolling out will attract the voters to vote for Deputy President RUTO. At the personal level, I know I'm capable Because the team that will be on the other side, if, for example, Wetangula and MUDAVADI do not join us, I have every reason to believe that they will get pressure from wananchi, they'll join us. If they don't join us, I have beaten MUDAVADI twice. I defeated him when he was in company of Raila and a host of other LUHYA cabinet ministers in 2011. I defeated them in the by-election in Ekolomani. And more recently, in the by-election in Bungoma, when Wetangula was faced with a by-election, MUDAVADI, Eugene Wamalwa, and others were on the other side, and again, we defeated them. So I know how I normally do it. I am going to defeat them again in 2022. Should they choose to defy the request of wananchi that this time around, we want to be in government like other Kenyans. MUDAVADI has been given an opportunity enough times round to provide leadership for our community. 2002, 2007, 2013, 2017. He has not been emphatic. Let me tell you, it is very sad that if they are using community votes to speak, that with a voting strength of 400,000 voters plus in Nairobi, that MUDAVADI was the chief campaigner of NASA. His party, ANC, and my former party, Ford Kenya, did not win a single MCS seat in Nairobi or MP in Nairobi. And as if that is not enough, even in Vihiga, the governor of Vihiga is ODM, is not ANC. That speaks volume to capacity.
So for Kenyans to understand,
yes,
and for us to wrap matters Western,
yes,
you are saying to the nation that Western Province, under the leadership of Musalia Mudavadi and Moses Wetangula, is going nowhere, and that you, Boni, and a team of colleagues in Western are beginning a new formation, complete with Deputy President, and you're going for power in 2022, and you are put down the gauntlet. I mean, this is just as clear as it can be.
You couldn't have put it better. I'm repeating that if there's anybody expecting any magic from MUDAVADI at 2022, then you are refusing to learn. He will not, because history has taught us at those four stages.
Because your critics have been saying that you are going to jump back to Western, that you are doing this just for survival. But they are saying...
How they wish.
Mudavadi said this week,
yes,
that you went there because RUTO's pockets are deep. And after you realize the situation, you will jump back. That is what he has alleged. And that is what he said.
If I was that kind of person, I would not be making these measured pronouncements and steps. It should not be lost to him that after the first presidential election, the general election of 8th of August 2017, an attempt was made to attract LUHYA leaders to support President Uhuru at the repeat election. I was approached, I declined.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Cabinet position was on the cards, I declined out of principle. Secondly, after that, when Deputy President then asked me that we work together, I agreed, and I told him I will make a pronouncement after I have gone to the laboratory, and the laboratory is the public. And after I have run it for 13 months, I have realized that it is doable, and that's why I went public. And there's a lot that we shall be rolling out as time goes on.
Well, you're watching Point Blank here at KTN News. For the very first time, a prominent member of Team William Ruto is here. So KTN is not against the Deputy President. Khalwale tells Mudavadi, Komondo or Komondo. This is KTN News.